What if the religions that dominate Africa today were never meant to belong to Africa? What if they arrived not just with scripture, but with ships, swords, and chains? And what if abandoning them would mean reclaiming identity or losing something deeply woven into African history? Tonight, we ask a question that makes many uncomfortable. Should Africa abandon Islam and Christianity? Stay with me, because the answer is not as simple as you think. Many argue that both Islam and Christianity came to Africa as tools of domination. When Europeans colonized Africa, missionaries often walked beside colonial administrators. In places like the Congo under Leopold II, Christianity was preached, while millions suffered forced labor. Mission schools sometimes replaced African names. Traditional shrines were burned. Spiritual systems were labeled pagan or primitive. Islam, too, is sometimes associated with conquest. In parts of West Africa, jihads reshaped political landscapes, such as the Sokoto Caliphate founded by Usman Dan Fodio. So critics say, these religions came with power. They displaced African belief systems. Therefore, they should be rejected. But is that the whole story? Before Christianity and Islam, Africa had rich spiritual systems. The Yoruba honored Orishas. The Akan believed in Niame. The Igbo revered Chukwu. The Dogon preserved complex cosmologies. Spirituality was deeply woven into community, governance, art, and law. But here's what many people miss. Christianity entered Africa in the 1st century, not the 19th. One of the earliest Christian nations in the world was Ethiopia, which adopted Christianity in the 4th century under King Ezana. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church is older than many European churches. North Africa also produced towering Christian thinkers like Augustine of Hippo, an African bishop whose writings shaped global Christianity. Islam, too, found early refuge in Africa. When Prophet Muhammad's followers were persecuted in Mecca, they fled to Abyssinia, modern-day Ethiopia, where the Christian king protected them. Africa was not just conquered spiritually, it participated. So the real issue becomes, are Islam and Christianity foreign to Africa, or have they become Africa? Today, Africa is home to the largest Christian population in the world, hundreds of millions of Muslims, vibrant African-led churches and Islamic scholarship centers. In Nigeria alone, where many of you are watching from, religion shapes politics, marriage, education, and daily life. To abandon these religions would not just mean rejecting foreign influence. It would mean uprooting identities that have existed for centuries. Critics argue, just because something is old does not make it indigenous. Fair point. Yet culture evolves. Swahili culture is both African and Islamic. Ethiopian Christianity blends ancient African traditions with biblical faith. African independent churches incorporate drums, prophecy, and communal spirituality. Religion in Africa is not European Christianity. It is not Arab Islam. It is Africanized. Some believe that abandoning these religions would be a psychological decolonization. They argue Christianity justified the transatlantic slave trade. Some Muslim empires participated in slave trading. Missionaries undermined traditional authority structures. But here is a difficult truth. African kingdoms also participated in slave trading. Blame cannot be simplified into religion alone. Power, economics, and politics were central drivers. If Islam and Christianity are rejected solely because colonizers used them, should Africans also reject the English language, modern medicine, nation-state model? Where does decolonization end? Another perspective says, the real issue is not which religion Africans follow, but whether they choose it freely. If someone chooses Islam or Christianity by conviction, is that colonization or agency? Likewise, if someone chooses to revive traditional African spirituality, should that be celebrated? Perhaps the deeper question is not abandonment, but freedom. There is also a danger in romanticizing the past. Pre-colonial Africa was not a utopia. There were wars. There were hierarchies. There were human sacrifices in some societies. No civilization is morally perfect. Reviving traditional religions would require reconstruction, because many were oral traditions disrupted by centuries of change. Is revival possible? Yes. Is it simple? No. Let's imagine it. If Africans abandoned Islam and Christianity tomorrow, what happens to cathedrals? What happens to mosques? What happens to families divided along faith lines? What happens to legal systems influenced by religious ethics? Religion in Africa is no longer just belief. It is infrastructure. You cannot remove it without societal shockwaves. Maybe the better question is not, should Africans abandon Islam and Christianity? But, how can Africans practice their faith without erasing their heritage? Can Christianity in Africa honor ancestors culturally without worship? Can Islam coexist with indigenous identity? Can African philosophy influence theology? Some argue that African theology and African Islamic scholarship are already doing this. Perhaps the future is not abandonment, but reinterpretation. Islam and Christianity are no longer outsiders in Africa. They arrived in different ways, some peaceful, some violent. But over centuries they were absorbed, reshaped, and Africanized. Abandoning them would not simply undo colonization. It would create a new identity crisis. The real struggle may not be about religion at all. It may be about power, memory, and ownership of narratives. So maybe the question is not, should Africans abandon Islam and Christianity? But who controls African faith today? Africans or external forces? That is the conversation we need to have.